encouraged that Kavanaugh got in.
He won't do anything, trust me.
We got to get more Supreme Court justices.
That won't. No. In 45 years, in 45, because I've studied this, in 45 years, the Supreme Court has been filled with Republicans who've done nothing but affirm Roe v. Wade. Kavanaugh won't do anything. President Trump will do nothing to abolish abortion. It's our duty to defy the federal government, to defy their tyranny, because this is tyranny, the murder of the preborn, and we need states to arise to defy the federal government over murder and to protect the preborn. And no state has done that. And check out the doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates. It's an older doctrine where it describes how when a higher-ranking civil authority makes unjust or immoral court opinions, laws, or policies, it's the duty of the lower-ranking civil authority, police officer in this case, to defy that opinion or that law, and if necessary, to actively resist it. So in this case, with cold-blooded murder, everybody from the governor to the police officer has a duty to ignore Roe v. Wade, ignore any evil law, and to defy it. And like the governor of Illinois, the governor of any state, they should call a special session of the legislature and ask for a bill to be placed on their desk that criminalizes abortion, no exceptions, treats it as cold-blooded murder for what it is, and the governor should sign it immediately. We haven't had one state do that in 45 years. Think about it. We've had Christian governors, Mike Huckabee, Sarah Palin, that profess Christianity anyway. Mike Pence of Indiana. You have conservative states, Kansas and Oklahoma, Texas, Rick Perry. Still, not one single governor has interposed. Not one legislature, not one council has interposed, defied, said. They all say the same thing. The Supreme Court has ruled, therefore we can only obey. It's time that they say no. The Supreme Court's dead wrong. They're not God. We will not bow to them. We're going to protect everybody in our jurisdiction, in our state, born and preborn. We haven't had one state do that in 45 years.
So what's the answer?
The answer is Jesus Christ, to turn to Him and obey Him. Well,
I'm with you, but on a practical level, I have certain beliefs, just like you guys, but obviously I'm wearing this monkey suit here. I'm limited in what I can do.
Yes.
Don't vote for pro-life people.
Because pro-life
right.
Politicians, they regulate mass murder. They say they pass bills that say how, when, and where a child can be murdered. An abolitionist bill is a bill that criminalizes abortion, treats it as murder. Because pro-life groups, pro-life politicians, pro-life bills, they don't treat abortion as murder, as sin before God. That's why this continues, because we refuse to treat it as murder.
So why don't you guys run? I'm not being facetious, I'm being serious.
I've considered it, and we went down to Oklahoma to help out Pastor Dan Fisher. He was an abolitionist running for governor, and he lost terribly because the Christians refused to vote for him. And there were Christians, including myself, that went down there that worked hard to get him elected. I am considering running for office because I see those who are in office and they won't do anything. They refuse to interpose. They say, I'm pro-life. They're described as a godly Christian, and I'm thinking, a man who fears God. And I'm thinking, if you fear God, if you're a pro-life politician, if you hate abortion, then why are thousands of children still being butchered in your state every year? It's like, this isn't good enough. This does not honor God, because we continually bow down to the Supreme Court and treat them as God. And the Supreme Court, they don't have the authority to make law out of thin air, to do whatever they want to do. They are held accountable to the people. But that's not how most people in this country think. They think the Supreme Court has ruled, therefore I can only obey. But that's not right. And the founding fathers said, they went against the Supreme Court because of it. Because even back then, the Supreme Court was usurping their constitutional restraints. Thomas Jefferson, he spent the last 23 years of his earthly life waging war against the Supreme Court because he saw they were going too far already. They were already usurping this. They were already dismantling the sovereignty of the states, giving themselves powers that were not granted to them in the Constitution. And today, most everybody, just without exception, everybody is just, they're going along with the Supreme Court. They're going along with judges and whatever the courts say. And I'm thinking, even over murder, we will not refuse to obey the Supreme Court. And what we need to do is we need to to demand of the governor, demand of the city councils, the legislatures, to do their duty before God. Whether they're Christians or Democrats, whatever they are, Republicans, Democrats, demand of them to do their duty before God. I mean, force them to do it. I mean, that's been done before. You can force a tyrant to do his duty, even if he doesn't want to. That's what we need to do. Christians need to be hitting the streets, going to their magistrates, going to those in the public office, demanding that they do their duty before God. And if enough Christians do that, they'll be forced to. Even pro-abortion politicians will have no choice. But Christians don't do that. They're too comfortable. They don't want to lose their political career. They don't want to lose their position and authority. And there's only been one officer I'm aware of, Chet Gallagher. He was the only officer in history that I'm aware of who actually did interpose back in 1989. He stood with Christians who were blocking the doors of the abortion mill in Las Vegas. It cost him his job. But he did the right thing. And there's so many officers who refuse to do the right thing. So many governors, so many mayors, so many legislatures. They know it's murder. They'll tell you it's murder. But they go to sleep at night knowing children are going to be murdered tomorrow morning, and they do nothing. It's like, and we continue to put them in office, knowing they're not going to end this. And we got to stop trusting the Supreme Court. They're not going to do our job for us. Okay. We have to work on local level.
Yeah, I'm one of the trustees here.
Okay.
But check that out. It's defytyrants.com, Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates. That is a proper response to tyranny. And tyranny is obviously very much present in our country today, in our culture. Tyranny has allowed this to happen, these children to be mass murdered. That's tyranny right now.